I hope you're all doing well. So I'm going to run through the Arnold Classic 2021 Men's Open Bodybuilding Show in this video. Really strong lineup this year, even with a few withdrawals, most notably William Bonac, I believe due to travel issues. As I said, super strong lineup. It's going to be really fun. So I'm going to break the video down into two parts, prejudging and then finals, giving my thoughts as we go along. So before we start, if you do enjoy the video, then please consider subscribing to the channel, give the video a thumbs up. Cheers. Okay, straight into the first call out, the top four. We've got Nick, Ian, Steve and Justin. Top four. So NEWHAM, a little bit surprising. One thing I would say about the show, the commentary was a little bit lackluster, to be honest. Everyone was kind of talking over one another. There were four of them there, not that anyone in particular was doing anything wrong. It was just that too many voices. It was a little bit awkward, you know, they're all talking over each other. So I'm just going to provide a few points here and there. The backdrop as well is, I mean, they were talking about how great the lighting was. I'm not so sure. I think maybe the lighting's okay, it's just the backdrop. It's just no good to have an inconsistent colour in the background. It's really unfair, and I think every show, every venue, at least at this level, should be uniform, you know, in terms of the colour, the texture and the lighting, because it's really unfair going from show to show comparing physiques. You know, with even here, you know, a certain part of the backdrop being black and another part being silver. It's, you know, it's just not good, especially for the darker coloured competitors, which you'll see later, probably on the second call out. So moving through the poses here, the first impressions are really the eyes are drawn to Nick Walker. Looks incredible. From the front double biceps, just insane. So moving to the back double, Justin and Nick here. Steve has quite a weak back. Not really any definition between the back muscles, quite soft. Nick looks quite balanced in terms of upper and lower body mass. Ian's very conditioned in the lower body, glutes and hamstrings. Okay, so rear lat spread now. And again, Steve has a very wide back, much the same as Ian, but not very much definition. I think Nick looks perhaps a little less dominating on this pose. Justin probably maybe looks a little bit better on the upper body. And for me, this is really where Nick Walker, you know, really starts to stand apart. Just the thickness and the density and the mass with the tight waist and the definition in the hams and glutes. Ian also looks really good on this pose. We've got a very tight waist also. It's just a shame about his calves. His calves are very weak. It just throws the physique off in regards to Ian. Abs and fight, not the strongest pose from Steve or Ian, to be honest. Nick, for a big guy, has great abs, really tight. Fantastic legs, obviously. I think dominates that pose completely. Most muscular. The eyes are drawn to Nick. Justin looks really well conditioned. Crab works well for Steve. I just think his physique's just looks a little bit washed out to me, almost like his muscles are more of an amalgamation of mass as opposed to kind of one muscle leading into another. There's no clear separation or cuts in a lot of his areas. He's got a really nice shape though, you know, a good silhouette shape for such a big guy. So we move on to the second call out now. Here we've got the first sighting of a Kim. Looks good. But again, the backdrop, it doesn't do him any justice. Look at the outside of his thigh. You lose some of that sweep against the black backdrop, unfortunately. You can see how much bigger his legs are compared to Max Charles. But it's very difficult to see. And again, here on the side chest, lose a lot of detail in the side of his thighs. I mean, the side of his thighs are by far the best on the stage. The sweep, you can see the striations on the side of the quad there, just fantastic. But Against a lighter background, it would be even more obvious, and it's just a little bit unfair, to be honest. So back double bicep, not the best for Kim. High lats don't do him any favours there. The eyes for me are drawn to Sergio Oliveira Jr. and the two on the left, Hassan, the very thick set guy, I believe, on the left. I mean, he's so blocky, isn't he? But his waist, unfortunately, also looks quite thick. I'm not familiar with the guy from the second left at all. Max Charles there, not the best lat spread. Not a lot going on in the back. Kind of looks almost a bit stretched out, doesn't it? Really impressed with the Korean guy, though. Great mass and still great shape. You know, mostly tight waist when he pulls it in. Looking really good, in my opinion. I think for me, it's definitely... I mean, look at the mass on that guy on the left, Hassan. So thick. Look at him in the relaxed pose here. Unbelievable. Abs and thigh. Kim looks really bloated, doesn't he, from the midsection? Really, really bloated. That's not a good look at all. Sergio looks great, and I think this is the pose. A classical, slight twist to the crab pose, which just looks fantastic. They all look really good from this pose. The Korean obviously losing a little bit of mass to these guys, but yeah, pretty impressive. So they've called out 4 guys now, but they've left Nick and Steve. So we will assume they'll probably be top 2, and these guys are battling out for 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th. So I've just kind of sped up the highlights a little bit, but Oliveira Jr. looks fantastic. I really like his shape. Perhaps not... Well, there we go. Yeah, that's a lot better. A lot better on the rear lat. Great side tricep. Maybe needs to tuck the stomach in a little bit in. Looks great on this. Kim's still having trouble with the distension, it looks like, on those side shots. So again, losing that detail on Kim's legs, unfortunately, because of the background. Sergio, yeah, it looks almost like he's struggling a little bit with that pose, losing a little bit of control of the lower stomach. This Justin shoulders, Rodriguez, unbelievable. Looks crazy. There we go. You can see Kim's detail more clearly there. Fantastic. But I think Sergio definitely takes this for me. He's got a real nice twist, very classical twist to that crab pose, reminiscent of his father. I think he just takes the edge on those guys for me personally. So here we go. Let's assume these are top 2. Going through the symmetry rounds to start with. Nick has a little bit more detail in the midsection. Hamstrings, calves are better. They both have fairly good calves, to be fair. Nick's upper body is a lot better in terms of detail. Steve has bigger shoulders, for sure. The separation between Nick's quads and hamstrings on this are just incredible, and there's he tenses the glute. Looks insane. Really good. Nick Walker, he does have a very good shape, a really crazy kind of X-frame. And the double bicep for Nick Walker just looks unbelievable. He blows Steve out of water here. I mean, everything looks better. Abs, thigh detail, arm size, arm detail. And the lat spread, Steve looks a little bit better here, but again, the legs are very washed out. Big, but there's just no kind of detail there whatsoever. So the side chest, Nick's legs are a lot better. Steve looks pretty good. His chest is a little bit more conditioned, perhaps. Nick's arms look a little bit better in terms of the separation. A bit of a close call, that one, I would say. Rear double bicep now. Nick's hamstrings are better. His calves are better. His glutes are a little bit tighter. His back is more defined. His lats are better. Shoulders and arms especially look more conditioned. That's a clear win for Nick on that pose. Lat spread, again, lower body better. Nick's just losing the glutes a little bit there. It's tighten them back up. Upper body doesn't look quite as massive as Steve, but again, Steve, there's no kind of definition there in the mid back. as big as he is and as wide as he is. It's just that, it's just width, no real kind of separation between the traps, the rhomboids and the lats. So Nick, this pose looks great, very reminiscent of Dorian Yates. Steve is just a little bit washed out in the midsection for such a big guy. Again, I'll go back to the silhouette point that I made. He's got a great kind of shape, but it just all looks washed out in terms of the actual detail. Not really that conditioned on the oblique shot. I think Nick Walker's got very good abs for such a big guy. So now moving on to the big pose, the most muscular. Yeah, the crab looks good on Steve, really good. Back in again, another round, again through the mandatories again. It's pretty close. I would still say Nick Walker takes the edge for sure. I think he's just further solidifying his victory, really, to be honest. Front lat spread's fantastic. Steve's still putting up a good fight. I mean, the chest, upper body here does look very good. Going through these poses a little bit quicker than the first round. Steve's glutes are looking to tighten up perhaps a little bit now. But, you know, the eyes are just drawn to Nick Walker on that pose for sure. He takes that very easily. You know, difficult one, this one. I think, again, Nick just takes it, but it's a lot closer than the back double by. Moving on to the side tricep, it's Nick all day for me. I mean, Steve does look good. He just needs to tighten up that waist just a little bit. You can see him beginning to puff it out on the lower abdomen. And then he switches to this pose, which is all well and good. It looks nice. Again, going back to that silhouette point. But you lose so much detail there. You can't really see the tricep, and it's a side tricep shot after all. Abs and thighs. Abs clearly sharper on Nick Walker and the thigh definition, so I don't see how Steve can take that shot. And again, moving back into the most muscular here for the last shot of the prejudging. I mean, Steve has got a lot of mass, but there's just no cuts there. There's just no definition. Looks so much better on the crab pose. I would just recommend for him to do the crab pose straight in. You know, he's got the mass, the structure over Nick Walker to make himself look a lot more impressive. But I think in terms of actual muscle density and getting those cuts between the the front delts and the pecs, Nick takes that one. So for me, Nick has really solidified his victory, for me at least. It looks like to be a clear winner. With, I would say, Steve probably in second place. I think there's maybe an argument for Sergio being higher. We'll see on the evening show. So this is a one-day event. Usually big shows would be two-day events, like the Olympia. So there can be a little bit more room for making improvements or worsening your physique in some cases, day to day. With this, there's less chance perhaps of making drastic improvements, but then again, less chance of, mucking it up. So we'll see come the evening show. That's the prejudging. Hi guys, just thought I'd take this opportunity to remind you of my online coaching services exclusively for natural lifters. So if you're looking to upgrade your physique or performance safely and effectively, then check out the website, sign up, the link's in the description box below. Thank you. Okay, so we're back in the evening for the finals. This is the individual presentation round, it's the posing round, where the athlete will present their physique alongside a music track. So a good posing round would typically be in sync to the music. It would create a lot of emotion, whatever style that they choose, maybe a slow kind of style, or something a bit more masculine, a bit more aggressive, which tends to be my preferred style of posing. I don't like anything too feminine with the hands. I think it really detracts from the masculinity of the physique. But yeah, they can do whatever style they want. I wasn't really blown away with any of the posing rounds. I think Arnold Schwarzenegger made some good points about the athletes not generally holding the pose for long enough. It's just a fraction of a second, and then it's off to the next shot. It's not visually that striking. Okay, so the first call out, or the back call out, these are the back runners of the show. Overall, we'll start off with the back double bicep here. I would say that the two on the left definitely take the back double bicep. The Korean looks great on the lat spread. His colour also works well with the backdrop of the stage. You can see all the details, and that's especially evident on the side tricep. It looks fantastic. Great development of the intercostals and obliques. Great pecs. I mean, look at the split between his upper and lower pecs and front delts. Looks really, really good. Easier to see his physique against that kind of reddish, brownish hue of the background. Abs and thigh isn't great for him though, a little bit bloated. They're all a tad bloated, to be honest. Max Charles probably has the best abs and thigh. And again, my eyes are drawn to the Korean because of the colour. It just stands out a bit more. I can barely see Max Charles against the background. This is what I was saying before. Background needs to be standard. One colour, one texture. So the Egyptian guy Hassan, he's got probably the biggest physique in terms of dense muscle out of the lot of them, but just a little bit too blocky really. So move on to the next call out. This is for the 4th to 6th place. I've got Sergio, Akim and Justin. The back double bicep. Sergio and Justin for me. Akim, you just can't go over the high lats. Looks great otherwise, but I would say Sergio. Legs slightly better than Justin's. Sergio for me has a physique that looks powerful as well. I just think that's why my eyes are kind of drawn to it. I don't know what it is quite about the physique. I think it's the forearms from the front anyway. Again, just pips it on the rear lat spread for me. Akim doesn't look to me in his best shape. Side tricep. So just holding it a bit oddly, his legs look good. Akim was really suffering with that bloated stomach. Same with Justin, really can't quite keep the stomach tight enough on the side tricep. It's so important, the most important shot to keep a tight waist on. Abs and thigh. Akim's legs are fantastic, but just so bloated in the midsection. Not really sure who would take that one. Perhaps Akim. And most muscular. My eyes are drawn to Serge on the crab pose here. Really, really good shot. Justin's very, very conditioned. Akim looks very soft in the shoulders and arms, doesn't he? Very soft indeed. So I would say Sergio, and then very close between Justin and Akim. Not sure on that one. So here we go with the top 3. Steve on the left, Nick centre, and Ian on the right. Front double bicep, definitely Nick. Front lat spread, a little bit tighter. Steve's got really nice shape on that. Okay, side chest. Definitely Nick Walker for me. He's got the combination of good rounded upper body muscles and definition in the side thigh, and he takes a back double bicep as well. I think Ian pips Steve on this as well. Definitely very, very lean in the lower torso. It's strange, isn't it, how these athletes have such good conditioning in the hamstrings and glutes, which tend, to be the hardest areas to get dry, yet seem to carry so much water in the upper body. I mean, look at Ian's upper back. It's very soft and smooth, same as Steve. A bizarre phenomenon. Side tricep for me all day, Nick. Then probably Ian. Difficult. Steve upper body looks better, but Ian's side thigh slightly more defined than Steve's. abs and thigh against Nick Walker for me. Only one doing the actual conventional abs and thigh. Steve's abs have completely washed out. I don't see how anyone beats Nick on that pose. So moving on to the most muscular now to finish up. Steve's upper body looks good, not quite as crisp as Nick's. Him seemed to come out of the pose really, really quick there. It's not a good sign. I think it's a done deal at this point, to be honest. I think Nick's a clear winner. Super heavily muscled and leaner than the other two. So they swap them around. They'll run through another round of mandatories and they'll do that again. So these top three go through 3 mandatory rounds, which is, must be pretty hard going. So for me personally, I was very impressed with Nick Walker. I mean, 26 years old, I believe. I mean, it's mind-blowing. You could develop this kind of physique this early. Unbelievable. The other athletes have flaws, quite obvious flaws. Steve Cooklow's got a great shape. He's a tall guy. Great silhouette. But the muscles have just become washed out. He's just lost that definition and separation between the areas. Ian looks good. There's just something about his physique that just doesn't look quite right. I think maybe the calves aren't helping. It's really ruining the flow of the physique. Mid to lower back isn't that great. Nick is very balanced, I would say. The other guy that impressed me was Sergio. I would place Sergio higher. I would have liked to have seen him with this top 3 here to compare. For me, he has a more favourable physique. He looks powerful, holds the poses in kind of a classic way. It's more visually striking. I really like his physique. Decent calves, very good forearms. It just looks powerful. I was also very impressed with the Korean guy. Very, very lean. The paler colour worked quite well, I think, against the backdrop. Yeah, really impressed with a lot of his shots, to be fair. Really good. I think the other athletes just have, again, glaring flares. I wasn't really impressed with any of them, to be honest. The Hassan, I mean, he's just so blocky. His waist is completely blown out. Huge muscles, but yeah, just the flow is ruined by the waist. The other guy, I can't remember his name, looked pretty good, to be honest. Justin, his physique is good, but the waist kind of throws the lines off. It's just a little bit too blocky, isn't it? Max Scholes is good, kind of a weak back. Not quite as heavily muscled as some of the other competitors. And really disappointed with Kim. His waist did not look good at all. Very, very bloated. And didn't seem to have any definition in the upper body whatsoever. Very, very soft in comparison to his thighs. Thighs still look pretty good with the striations. Side thigh looked great. So that's my thoughts. I'm pretty sure the placings will be Nick, Steve, and then Ian. Sergio 4th. But we'll see. I would have liked personally to have seen Sergio higher. Even as high as 2nd, in my opinion. So we'll see what the placings are now. So the top 6 are as follows. Olivia Junior in 6th, for Kim in 5th, Justin in 4th, Steve in 3rd, Ian 2nd, and Nick Walker, 2021 Arnold Classic champion, well deserved. For the second I saw him in Prejudging, I thought he had it, to be honest. Incredible physique. I was really surprised with Ian's 2nd place finish. I thought maybe Steve had just done enough, considering his size, his shape, fairly well balanced physique, despite the lack of detail. I thought he might have done enough to pip Ian. Also very surprised with the fact that Justin and Akim both beat Olivia Junior. I thought maybe he could have placed a little bit higher. Maybe I'm being biased because I prefer his physique. But yeah, a little bit bizarre, in my opinion. So that's a wrap. The 2021 Arnold Classic Men's Open results. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, then please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to see more. I'll see you on the next one.